Happy New Year, and welcome to the 47th episode of Jazzology presented by Savage Content. I'm your host, Willard Jenkins. We're here alternating Fridays, giving two jazz fans the opportunity to compete against each other for a chance to win $100. Each contestant will be asked a question worth 2 points. If they're unable to answer correctly, their opponent will have a chance to steal the question for 1 point. We'll ask 10 questions. And at the end of the 10 questions, the person with the lowest score will get a bonus question for the opportunity to tie the score, no matter how far they may be behind. If they're successful, the game will go to sudden death. The person in the lead at the end of regulation will go first, and each contestant will take turns trying to answer the sudden death multiple choice question until we have a winner. And now, let's meet this week's contestants. Our reigning Jazzology champion is Joe Petrucelli, who is the executive director of the Jazz Foundation of America, an organization whose responsibilities, or actually Joe's responsibilities within that organization, include program development, fundraising, production, and financial management. Are you ready to meet your challenger, Joe?
It's good to be back, Willard. And yes, I'm ready. Thank you.
All right. Our challenger for the 47th episode of Jazzology marks the return of Ricky Riccardi, who is a Louis Armstrong scholar, historian, and winner of the 2022 Grammy Award for Best Album Notes. Welcome back to Jazzology, Ricky.
Happy to be here, Willard.
Are you ready to challenge Joe?
I'm ready.
You're ready? All right. Well, let's get to today's Jazzology, and our reigning champion, Joe, goes first. Joe, NEA jazz master, saxophonist and flutist, or some might say flautist to be more formal, Charles Lloyd is a proud native of Memphis, Tennessee. Growing up, which of these Memphis artists was Charles Lloyd's closest childhood friend? Would that have been A, Phineas Newborn, or as he was known around Memphis, Finest Newborn? B, Hank Crawford? C, George Coleman? D, Frank Strozier? Or E, Booker Little?
Well, Willard, you always make these really tough because anyone else would list people who obviously weren't Memphis artists, so you'd be able to just eliminate them. These are all Memphis artists of the same generation. And, Harold Mayburn and Jamil Nasser could be on there too. But
yes, they could.
We loved at the Jazz Foundation. But I'm really not sure of this. I'm kind of guessing and going out on a limb here, and I'm going to say B, Hank Crawford.
Hank Crawford, that's your response?
Yes.
I'm afraid that is incorrect. So Ricky, with the chance to steal the point. Ricky, NEA jazz master, saxophonist, and flutist Charles Lloyd is a proud native of Memphis, Tennessee. Growing up in Memphis, which of these Memphis artists was his closest childhood friend? Would that have been A, Phineas Newborn, as we said, also known in Memphis as Finest Newborn? B, Hank Crawford has been eliminated. C, George Coleman. D, Frank Strozier. Or E, Booker Little?
Yeah, like Joe said, this is a gem of a question because honestly, it could be all five. There's not even a dead weight answer. So I'm in the same boat. This is a guess. I could see him being friends with all five, but closest, I don't know why, but for some reason, my gut, which is probably wrong, but my gut's telling me A, Finest Newborn.
No, the correct answer to that question is E. Booker Little, the late trumpeter, was Charles's closest childhood friend. All right, so we're all squared up at 0-0. So Ricky, you're up next. Ricky, tenor saxophonist Eric Alexander is a native of what state? Would that be A, Washington State, B, Illinois, C, California, D, New York, or E, Ohio?
These are the questions that I should know. I should definitely know. I spend so much time in the history, then we get the living, breathing musicians, and it's like, wait a minute, I don't know their entire backstory like I know King Oliver's backstory. So with that in mind, this is probably going to expose my ignorance, but let's I don't know, for some reason E, Ohio is jumping out at me.
That is incorrect, and now Joe has a chance to steal the point. Joe, tenor saxophonist Eric Alexander is a native of what state? A, Washington State, B, Illinois, C, California, D, New York, and E, Ohio has been eliminated.
Okay. Again, I take heart because I'm in the same boat as the great Ricky Riccardi. So, yeah, ignorance loves company, or something. But I don't know definitively, and I've seen Eric Alexander perform, of course, here in New York, Smoke, and it's kind of the type of player who can evoke Chicago and LA and New York, and with his sound, he's got one. He's such a versatile player. Yes. I'm gonna go out and say that it's A, Washington State, nonetheless.
That is incorrect. Eric Alexander is a native of the state of Illinois.
Cows.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, Joe, you're up next. Okay. Joe, pianist and composer Arturo O'Farrill, or some pronounce it O'Farrell, once served as music director for which of the following artists or bands? Was it A, Ray Barretto, C, Celia Cruz, B, Celia Cruz, C, La Lupe, D, Harry Belafonte, or E, the Fort Apache Band?
My gut is telling me that the answer is A, Ray Barretto.
That is incorrect. Oh. Ricky, your turn to steal this point. Pianist and composer Arturo O'Farrill once served as music director for which of the following artists or bands? And A, Ray Barretto has been eliminated. B, Celia Cruz. C, La Lupe. D, Harry Belafonte. Or E, the Fort Apache Band?
I think both Joe and I are sharing the same gut today, because my gut was also telling me A. And so I think it's time to do the opposite of what my gut is saying. And the first one I was like, yeah, I don't think so. But now I'm just throwing my hat in the ring. Let's say B, Celia Cruz.
That is incorrect as well, I guess we got some tough questions today, huh?
It's a new year. We're still waking up.
Yeah. The correct answer, Arturo O'Farrill once served as music director for D, Harry Belafonte.
Cool.
And he was if you think about it, he was the wild card amongst those answers because the rest are all identified as Latin jazz or Latin music artists. So Harry was the wild card. Ricky, you ready?
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
All right, Ricky. Tenor saxophonist James Brandon Lewis pays homage on his current record release to which of the following American music giants? Would that be A, Aretha Franklin, B, Sarah Vaughan, C, Mary Lou Williams, D, Mahalia Jackson, or E, Sister Rosetta Tharpe?
They're not getting any easier, Willard.
No, they're not.
I feel like
you guys are both returning champions now. Let's point that out.
I feel like we're on a prank show right now. I have not heard the new record, but something is telling me, I feel like I read about it. I don't know. This might be completely wrong, but is it D, Mahalia Jackson?
It is indeed. James Brandon Lewis' latest recording pays homage to the late, great Mahalia Jackson.
Yes.
So, Joe, it's your turn.
Let's do it.
Joe, the late pianist, composer, and band leader, NEA jazz master, Carla Bley, who joined the Ancestors last October. Carla Bley wrote a piece called Bent Eagle that was subsequently recorded by which of the following artists? Would that have been A, Paul Bley, B, Charlie Hayden, C, Jimmy Giuffre, D, George Russell, or E, Michael Mantler?
Oh, wow. This is, again, it's a tough one. I think C, Jimmy Giuffre is maybe the least likely, and the person I least associate with Carla Bley. And George Russell I would knock off, but Paul Bley and Charlie Hayden, I've certainly heard perform Carla's pieces, and I know Michael Mantler was a collaborator. I am going to say E, Michael Mantler.
That is incorrect. Ricky, chance to steal the point. Ricky, the late pianist, composer, and band leader Carla Bley, who joined the Ancestors last October, wrote a piece called Bent Eagle that was subsequently recorded by which of the following artists? Would that have been A, Paul Bley, B, Charlie Hayden, C, Jimmy Giuffre, D, George Russell, or Michael Mantler has been eliminated?
Yeah, like Joe, I'm trying to do process of elimination, and I'm also going back and forth between two. I can only choose one. And so let's say B, Charlie Hayden.
The correct answer to that is that Carla Bley wrote a piece called Bent Eagle that was subsequently recorded by D, George Russell.
Wow.
Jazzology is brought to you by Savage Content. Savage Content is building music, art, and creative content for the soul, spirit, and empowerment. This week's spotlight is on Conversations with Ramsey Lewis, a curated collection of the late, great Ramsey Lewis conducting interviews, sharing stories, and laughs with various legends of jazz and blues, often followed by music performances, a collection of rare gems. Visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@savagecontent to watch recent Conversations with Ramsey Lewis featuring Robert Cray, George Duke, Lee Ritenour, Eddie Palmieri, Joey DeFrancesco, Freddie Cole, Steve Toure, Phil Woods, and many more. And our Jazzology new record of the week comes to us from a unique mashup of jazz and chamber music with poetic expression from a collaboration of the Imani Winds, poet A.B. Spellman, and the Harlem Quartet. The record is titled Passion for Bach and Coltrane. So, Ricky, it's been a while since you've been on the show. Tell us what you've been up to since you last played Jazzology.
Yeah, it's been an exciting time. The Louis Armstrong House Museum in Corona, Queens, we opened up the brand new state-of-the-art Louis Armstrong Center last summer. And it's a incredible facility right across the street from the Armstrong House. It's the new home of the Armstrong Archives. We moved all the artifacts from Queens College. There's a state-of-the-art exhibit area that was curated by the great Jason Moran. There's a 75-seat performance room, new gift shop. We've been doing concerts, film screenings, public programs, trumpet lessons, and we've been at like capacity crowds every day, people coming from all around the world to see the new facility and to see Louis Armstrong's house. So you can check it out, louisarmstronghouse.org. We're open 3 days a week. You can get your tickets online, and I'm usually there manning the archives. Today I'm manning the home archives, but it's been an exciting year for Pops, and anybody watching out there, definitely, if you're in the New York area, make the pilgrimage.
Well, what's in the exhibit area in the new space?
I mean, obviously, we have a trumpet. We have a trumpet that was given to Louis by King George V, but there's also Louis Armstrong's Grammy Award. There's photographs. There's his FBI file. There's his collages that he used to cut up photographs and affix them with Scotch tape to his reel-to-reel tape boxes. There's also a big interactive table. Each exhibit case has about a 10-minute video that's filled with like a little short documentaries with videos and audio and interviews and stuff. And so you can really make a whole day of it. Jason's the busiest guy on the planet, but this turned out to be the perfect timing because he was hired right before the pandemic started, and our entire archives are digitized. And so we spent about 2 years just going back and forth. Jason was listening to the tapes and checking out the collages and reading everything and learning everything. And he did a beautiful job on the exhibit. And like I said, between that and the house, which no one's lived there since Louis and Lucille Armstrong, and the performance venue where we're doing these kind of every other Saturday, there seems to be a concert or something happening in there. It's a really exciting time.
And what's that web link for further information on the Louis Armstrong House?
Yeah, it is louisarmstronghouse.org, and you can book your tickets for the tour there. You can see our concert calendar and really do online research. Whatever you got to do, it's all there on the web.
So can we get a guided tour from you?
Say the word. Say the word. If I'm there, just ask for me, and if I'm there, I'll come running down.
Well, Joe, tell us what's on tap for the Jazz Foundation in the next couple of months.
Sure. Well, we're looking forward to our gala at the Apollo Theater, which is going to be held March 28th. We're honoring our chairman, Richard D. Parsons, who's stepping down from his position and becoming an emeritus chairman after 15 years with the organization. We're still putting together the program for that, but we're doing a little kickoff event soon that I'm really excited about, featuring Bertha Hope and her quintet performing the music of her late husband, Elmo Hope.
All right.
We have little Freddie King coming up from New Orleans for that show, and a very special band conceived for the occasion, featuring Bill Frisell and Randy Brecker, Tony Scher, and our musical director Steve Jordan on drums. So those are the big events, and then we've got our public programming happening regularly. Every fourth Monday of the month, we're doing our jam session at Local 802 in Manhattan. We have Tuesday nights at Parker's at the old Parker Meridian, which is the Thompson Central Park Hotel. Wednesday afternoons, we stream live from the New Orleans Jazz Museum at 3 p.m. Central. And Thursday afternoons, we stream from the National Jazz Museum in Harlem. So a lot of music to look forward to, and a lot of gigs for artists.
Well, it's great. It's great to have two guys representing such vibrant and vital organizations on behalf of this music we call jazz. And thank you both so much for your work, and all best for 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And in case folks need some visual, this, in fact, is the recording I spoke of. It's kind of a passion for Bach and Coltrane, featuring a very interesting fusion, shall we say, of jazz and classical chamber music perspectives with the Imani Winds, poet A.B. Spellman, and the Harlem Quartet. Pick this up. All right, Ricky, you're up next.
Alrighty.
Ricky, the great tenor saxophonist Ben Webster recorded with Blanche Calloway, Duke Ellington, Art Tatum, and Count Basie, among many others. Which of the following artists did Ben Webster also record with? Would that be A, Jerry Mulligan, B, Benny Carter, C, Don Byas, D, Tete Montoliu, or E, all of the above?
Well, thankfully, Ben Webster, Frog, is one of my heroes. And as you were reading the names, I said, well, yes, he recorded with Jerry. Oh, yes, he's recorded Benny. Oh, wait a minute, he was with Don. And so, process of elimination, I'm going to say E, all of the above.
And you are correct. The great tenor saxophonist Ben Webster, who, as you pointed out, was known as the Frog, also known as the Brute as
right.
well. He recorded with Jerry Mulligan, Benny Carter, Don Byas, and Tete Montoliu. So all of the above was the correct answer. All right, Joe, time to catch up. Joe, guitarist Dave Stryker has taught jazz. Guitarist Dave Stryker has taught jazz guitar at which school? Would that be A, Indiana University, B, Manhattan School of Music, C, Berkeley, D, Montclair State University, or E, Rutgers?
Okay. I started thinking of New Jersey when you mentioned his name. So again, I'm going on a limb here, but D, Montclair State is my answer.
And that is correct.
All right, I'm on the board.
And there actually were two correct answers to that question. Indiana University and Montclair State were places where Dave Stryker taught jazz guitar. So, Ricky, your turn. It's 4-2. We're getting closer. Ricky, the book Jazz Masters in Transition, 1957 to 1969, was contributed by what writer? Is that A, Martin Williams, B, Ira Gitler, C, Dan Morgenstern, D, Leonard Feather, or E, Valerie Wilmer?
Oh, all those jazz masters books are essential, New Orleans, the 20s, the 30s, 40s. Sometimes I get my authors confused, so I'm trying to, I know who it's not, but now I'm trying to see in transition. I'm going to say A, Martin Williams.
That is correct. Martin Williams did indeed write the book Jazz Masters in Transition, 1957 to 1969. The score is Ricky 6 and Joe 2. Joe's trying to play some catch up now. Joe, staying in the bibliography area, who wrote the book Billie Holiday, The Musician and the Myth? Would that have been A, Alan Lomax, B, Stuart Nicholson, C, Farrah Jasmine Griffin, D, Gary Giddens, or E, John Zwed?
Wow, this is a tough one.
I'm hearing that a lot today.
I know, and I'm confident, and that B, C, and D have all written books on Billy. I believe Professor Griffin's is If You Can't Be Free, Be a Mystery. So I'm going to eliminate that one. The Many Faces of Lady Day, I think, is Gary Giddens. So I don't think Lomax wrote one. It's coming down between Nicholson and Zwed, and I'm going to go B, Stuart Nicholson.
That is incorrect, and Ricky has a chance to steal the point.
Well,
Ricky, who wrote the book Billie Holiday, The Musician and the Myth? Was it A, Alan Lomax, and B, Stuart Nicholson has been eliminated, C, Farrah Jasmine Griffin, D, Gary Giddens, or E, John Zwed?
like Joe mentioned, there's been so many books on Billy. It's kind of incredible. And I know there's another one coming out this year because I agreed to take part in a Billie Holiday symposium next month. So there'll never be enough books, I guess, about Lady Day. But I believe that is the title of the most recent holiday book, which was by E, John Zwed.
That is correct. John Zwed did indeed write the book Billie Holiday, The Musician and the Myth. And Ricky has stolen that point. And Ricky's up next. Before we give Joe a chance to catch up. Ricky, pianist and renowned National Public Radio show host Marion McPartland played early in her career with which of the following artists? Would that have been A, Roy Eldridge, B, Billie Holiday, C, Terry Gibbs, D, Coleman Hawkins, or E, all of the above?
Tricky. Let's see. I don't think we're going to do two all the aboves in one, because it's one of those things when you say somebody played with, well, a gig, or a jam session could be playing with. But I have a pretty, I might be completely wrong, but I have a pretty darn complete collection of Roy, Billy, and Hawk, and I can't remember Marion on any of those. I'm going to say C, Terry Gibbs.
So Joe has a chance to steal this point. Joe, pianist and renowned NPR radio show host of piano jazz, Marion McPartland, played early in her career with which of the following artists? Was it A, Roy Eldridge, B, Billie Holiday, C, Terry Gibbs has been eliminated, D, Coleman Hawkins, or E, all of the above?
Okay. I certainly don't recall Marion playing with Billy. Just thinking in terms of career timeline overlap. So obviously we're between Roy and Bean, and let's go A, Roy Eldridge.
Actually, the correct answer to that question is E.
Tricky.
Okay.
And so now, as we said earlier, by the rules of the game, Ricky is up 7-2, but Joe has an opportunity to tie the score by correctly answering our bonus round question. Are you ready, Joe?
Yes.
The Art Ensemble of Chicago began performing as a band in which year? Would that have been A, 1969, B, 1965, C, 1971, D, 1959, or E, 1973?
Wow. Okay, so it's this is either A or B. We know there might be some technicality here with the name of the band and performing under the name the Art Ensemble of Chicago versus the Art Ensemble, and they were consistently doing that by 1969, and 1969 was a huge year for the Art Ensemble. They went to France and recorded about a dozen albums. The roots go back to 65. I don't think they were the Art Ensemble yet at that point. So A, 1969.
And Joe has come all the way back and tied the score and taken us to sudden death. And by the rules of sudden death, the person who was up before the bonus question goes first, and that would be Ricky. And we keep going until we get a correct answer. Are you straight? All right.
We're straight.
Ricky, pianist Patrice Rushen won a music competition at age 17 that enabled her to play at which festival? Would that have been A, the Newport Jazz Festival, B, the Montreux Jazz Festival, C, the Watts Tower Jazz Festival, D, the San Francisco Jazz Festival, or E, the Monterey Jazz Festival?
I would just like to start by saying I'm getting major deja vu feelings right now. For the dedicated Jazzology listeners, the last time Joe and I were in this space, he tied it in the last question and won it on sudden death. And we might be going down that road again because I have thoughts, but I'm not as confident as I was with the Ben Webster question. So instead of hemming and hawing, let's just say I'm going to go with the biggie. Let's do A, the Newport Jazz Festival.
That is incorrect. So, Joe, pianist Patrice Rushen won a music competition at age 17 that enabled her to play at which festival? And A, the Newport Jazz Festival has been eliminated. B, the Montreux Jazz Festival. C, the Watts Tower Jazz Festival. D, the San Francisco Jazz Festival. Or E, the Monterey Jazz Festival. And okay. A, the Newport Jazz Festival has been eliminated, of course.
All right. Well, I had something in mind when you mentioned Patrice's name. I mean, I associate her with California, of course, and Newport makes a lot of sense. And Montreux, we know there are a lot of prizes associated with it and young musicians performing there. I don't think they were doing that by 1973. I could be wrong. Watts Tower in San Francisco, I'm less familiar with. I did an event earlier this year with Patrice and Tom Scott, and Charles Lloyd, who we mentioned earlier. Tom mentioned that as a teenager, he was playing with Don Ellis at Monterey when Forest Flower was recorded, and that was a few years earlier, of course. But something it's telling me Monterey.
That is the correct answer. And on sudden death, Joe Petrucelli remains our champion.
I think Willard is today's winner.
Yeah, for sure.
Congratulations, Joe, on winning our 47th episode of Jazzology. We encourage each and every one of you to try your hand and play Jazzology. And keep in mind, yes, the questions were a little bit more difficult today, but that was because we had 2 returning champions. And if anyone watching would like to become a contestant on Jazzology, click the link and simply fill out the form. You must be 18 years old or older, and be sure to follow us on social media at Jazzology Trivia Show to get all the latest news and updates. Thanks so much to Joe and Ricky and to everyone who joined us on our 47th episode of Jazzology today. Remember, you can check out Jazzology every other Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you missed the show live, you can find the archive on the Savage Content YouTube channel. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Jazzology.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.